Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind. Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart, as always, presented by Heidemann and Associates.
Yeah, that's right, Dusty. It's playoff season, right? So everything's on the line. And if you got everything on the line in a legal battle, there's no one better positioned to help you than the experts at Heidemann and Associates. A full-service law firm can help with litigation, set up business, whatever you might need. They're here to take care of you. To learn about their offerings, visit utah.law, or for a free consultation, just tell them Rewind sent you when you call 801-754-4240.
Yeah, Justin does such a great job for us. And also remind you, as always, we talk about 2022 being the year of you, but it's also the year just to get better. If you need to get that 4-year degree, they're there for you. You want to take that next step after your 4-year degree and be like Dane? Who would want to be like Dane Stewart? Get your MBA in 1 year from wgu.edu. I mean, he went all the way to Sparty to get his taken care of, but you can do it right here at WGU and do it on your own time, your own pace, and be able to get that Master's of Business from Western Governors University. Right, Dane?
Yeah, it's a long list of people who don't want to be like Dane. So if you don't want to be like Dane, go to WGU, and you'll get it done much quicker and more affordable than Dane did. So there you go.
Yeah, but it all works out. You can just be great like Dane. All right, we're going to go through the brackets. Bracketology, we know that you all love when we pick your teams, or don't in many instances. But we're going to go through bracketology. We're going through all of them, 6A, 5A, and then in 4A, 3A, 2A, and 1A, we're going to pick who we believe in the championship games, and then pick our champions. And hopefully, for the rest in 3A, 2A, it matches what we talked about before. So, that's really what the question is, right, Dane?
Yeah, and look, let's just preface this with this statement. We're going to make all of you mad, with the exception of one team, because everybody's going to lose, with the exception of one team in each classification. So the real question is, at what point do we make you mad? And we'll find out as we kick this off.
Yeah. And as you can tell, I'm looking for good vibes. So brought out the old coaching blanket, got all my shirts behind me, all my hats from Helper. Dusty's not floating head this week. We're not doing that again. That was a mistake. So all right, let's get into our bracketology. All right, we're gonna start in the top left here in the 6A bracket. Corner Canyon and Layton.
How about first-time matchup for these two schools, Dusty? I know Corner hasn't been around a long time, a decade or so, but these two programs have never played before, and first go-around will be in the playoffs. Corner Canyon, how about this as an interesting note? They've only lost before the quarters once in program history. Second-round game, love what we've seen from Layton this year, but tough matchup. I'll go Corner.
Yeah, I think it was like their first year of existence is the only time they lost before the maybe their first or second year, because then they lost that heartbreak in the Islands. Yeah. Crazy. I'd love to pick Layton here. This is fun, and I think for Corner Canyon, it's something different, because this route, no matter how this goes, right, they win. If they were to win, no matter what happens, they're going to play a new team in the state tournament. Folks, that has not happened in the previous years. They have re-beaten teams they played earlier in the season. So that's kind of fun. Something was going to change there for Corner Canyon. I know it's all about them. Thus, this is not the time I'm picking against the Chargers. I got Eric Kerr and the Chargers, and I just love seeing the resilience of Layton. Let me throw that out there. Been an interesting year for Layton. They had those losses, those close games. Good on the Lancers. You see that program coming up, because we'll get some more Region 1 teams that are playing a little better too. Now an interesting one. West Jordan.
Yeah, West having to go on the road in this matchup. West Jordan had that first-round bye. West with a nice first-round win. Dusty, last quarterfinal appearance for West Jordan was 2005. Been a long time since we've seen them get to the quarters. It was a really good year. Second place in Region 3 this season for the Jags. But when you look at their year, Dusty, they've only have one victory when they've scored less than 30 points. This West defense flies around. They're physical. I don't know if West Jordan can get to that number. I'll take West, the 9 seed, and a seed upset to get the win at West Jordan.
Yeah, interesting that this is a seed upset, and it just goes to show you the RPI, right? This is the whole thing around it. Just that the region for Region 3 was seemingly tougher than the region in Region 2. And they've had and they got rewarded, did West Jordan. I'm going with West too. If there's a team we talked about at the beginning of the year where we have Corner Canyon, Lone Peak, Skyridge, American Fork has kind of been the 4, who would be that 5th? And that's kind of been a fun conversation between you and I on this show, but also on our drives too, of who it is. Yeah. And the team that we think it could be would be West. And I'm taking West. Isaiah Suisui is worth the price of admission. You want to check this out. West Jordan is young. This is a team like West that in 2 years, they could be trying to upset the apple cart. This is a very young team. Their quarterback's just a sophomore. Wide receiver's a sophomore. It could be a fun one, but we'll got West. That game will be right here on KSLSports.com. It'll be a rewind game, part of our West coverage. All right, keep moving forward. American Fork versus Mountain Ridge.
Yeah, another first-time matchup. Again, not a lot of history there for Mountain Ridge. How about this, Dusty? For American Fork, this is their best scoring defense since, do you know how long?
2014.
Ooh, even longer. 2003. When you look at points per game, this is the best scoring defense American Fork has had since 2003. Man, it's been a significant turnaround for that defense. It's been one of the real storylines for this group this year, in a year where they haven't been dropping 40, 50 a game. Offensively, that defense has really brought their lunch pail, been fantastic week in, week out. Meanwhile, for Mountain Ridge, how about first playoff win in program history for the Sentinels, getting that first-round win over Westlake. Congratulations there to Coach Mayfu. But look, this AF defense, I think it is legit. A lot of guys fly around. Love Caleb Peterson in that secondary. They make it difficult to score. And this offense, I think, is going to be good enough. Close ball game here, but I'll go with the Cavemen to get the win.
A good call. You know what? I bet on that 2003 team. I'm not even pulling up the roster. You have the sophomore, McKay Franson, the first big man that we had. Remember, McKay was on the basketball team at American Fork. Became a good friend of mine. Dr. Franson, I should call him. Dr. Franson. Paul Olson was a quarterback at American Fork, the word number 20. I mean, he made Jackson. He was Jackson Stevens before Jackson Stevens, even though Jackson Stevens was 37. So, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Throw it back to the Wayback Machine. Mentioned Hawes, too, was a junior on that team. Bowling for chairs. So I'm going AF. I'd love to go Mountain Ridge here. Mike Mayfu, we talked about the notes from West Jordan. You know, the legend at West Jordan as a player and a coach. But I don't know if they have enough to go against American Fork. They're going to have to score points. 28-25 was winning against Westlake. They're going to have to score points. And Hunter Clegg is an absolute monster. And then not only that, you're going to have to deal with the younger Edwards, the non-quarterback Edwards, Max. If you throw the ball in the air, Max is going to get it. So I'll go AF.
Okay.
How about a Region 1 rematch, Weber and Farmington?
Yeah, Weber, hey, upset on their minds. They go to Roy. They take care of business against the Royals, now set up to take on Farmington. They lost to Farmington early this year, 35-7, but that was back when Farmington was healthy. And Weber coming in with some momentum after that first-round playoff win. How about this, Dusty? Weber with just 3 wins on the year. That's the fewest since 2016 when Coach Matt Hammer started to turn this thing around for the Warriors. They're trying not to regress and go back to some of those years from the 2000s and the early teens. They need a big win in this one. Farmington, we've talked about some of the injury battles, but Farmington, I just think, is the better team. It was Mitch Nilsson who was a Warrior for the Phoenix against the Warriors, had, I think, 4 receiving touchdowns, the tight end for Farmington in that one. I got the Phoenix here, maybe a little bit closer in 35-7, but I think just too much offensive experience for the Phoenix. They get the dub.
Yeah, Boston Reinhold is very important to what Farmington has done. I don't know that he's 28 points different for this game, right? And Weber, hey, congratulations, go getting that win against Roy, because I think we did bracketology last week. Yeah, I was saying on the show on the Red Zone, I'm so glad we didn't do picks. Would have whiffed on a bunch of them and look as bad as the week I picked Skyline to beat East when East scored, just a measly 63 points. That was nothing compared to what they did later.
You know, we said, Dusty, every year there's a 20 seed that pulls off a first-round win, and this year it was Weber.
Yeah, got it taken care of, and congratulations to Weber on that win. But I got Farmington. Give me Dan Coates and the Phoenix. All right, so now we go to the bottom right, and this is a great game. JJ and Sly are going to be at this one. Lone Peak fans, we've had our coverage all year long, but it's going to be JJ and Sly stepping in there. Lone Peak at Syracuse.
Yeah, interesting game. Syracuse, talk about lost the first 2 games of the season. They have reeled off 8 straight since then. And the key in that one, Dusty, is in the 8-game winning streak, they've scored more than 26 points in each of those wins. And in the 2 losses, it was less than that. 26, the magic number for Syracuse. The question is, can they get that against this Lone Peak defense? Lone Peak 6-1 when they allow less than 21, 0-3 when they allow more than 21. This game, if Syracuse gets to the mid-20s, that is a heavy swing in favor of what will be the home-sided Syracuse Titans. And watch out for Brevin Hamblin. We talk about the offense with Metcalf and Hopkins and others, but Brevin Hamblin has been spectacular, the safety for Syracuse. He is a picking machine. He could play first base. He's that good at picking it. Really want – you pick a machine, right? I really want to go with Syracuse. They've never beaten Lone Peak. This is the year. I'll roll with the Titans.
Hey, look at you. You know, Lone Peak came out slow against Copper Hills. I think some of it looking past them. Some of it, you know, Hodson and everything else, they figured it out. But what travels? Defense travels. Your offense might have a tough time. Yep. I'll tell you two things that'll go. Lone Peak's defense and Cole Christensen in the return game. Book it, Dano. I'll go Lone Peak because this game's going to be great. Okay. I think it's going to be really, really good. But tell you right now, that defense from Lone Peak and Cole Christensen, not just from wide receiver, if you kick him the ball, Syracuse, okay, Kit needs to talk to Michael Knight, right? Kit needs to go help Michael Knight out and be able to navigate this thing like he did on Knight Rider. You kick to one, you're going to look at the back of number one. And if you want to live that way, Cole Christensen will make it hurt. This is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. I'm really excited for it. But, yeah, I'm going Lone Peak.
Okay.
Bingham PG. This is an interesting one. This is a very, very interesting one, Bingham PG.
All right, Dusty, look, I've given you a couple of quizzes. I've got the toughest quiz question of the day. You ready for this?
Yeah.
When was the last time Pleasant Grove beat Bingham?
2005. No. Take it. 1997.
All right. Here's a fun fact for you. PG Nation, you might want to close your ears. Pleasant Grove has defeated Brigham Young more recently than Bingham High School. And we're talking BY High, okay? BY High. Yes, it was a Brigham Young High School. They have defeated BY High more recently than Bingham. 1956, for crying out loud, was the last time Pleasant Grove defeated the Bingham Miners. It's been almost 70 years since the Vikings have got a win over Bingham. Unreal. Now, they won the state championship that year as well. So if PG can get a win here in this second round, Vikings are off to the races. Burn the boats, PG. Go get it done. Bingham has been on a roll. I love what we saw from this offense in the first round. We talked about it. When Staffieri and everything is gelling, this PG group is as good of an offense as you'll see in 6A. But I'll tell you, I can't go with it. I think this game is competitive, but I just think Bingham, what we've seen from their offense, explosiveness, that defense flies around as well. I'll go Bingham close. Right. PG bulletin board material for you. It's been a while. We'll see if they can buck a 70-year streak.
Wow, how about that, huh? That's interesting. Yeah, BYU Academy. I mean, yeah, Carbon used to play BYU Academy. They were in the same region for a while, so that's the reason I know that. Went through Dad's old yearbooks to see how that.
Do you know the mascot of BY High?
I don't.
The Wildcats.
Hey, look at that.
That makes sense when you think about it, right?
Yeah. Okay, so Bingham, PG. Was this basketball? Van Komen versus Yoli Childs? What is this? I'll go on Bingham.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys now walking through that door. This is going to be a good one. I think Bingham, we talk about it. They figured something out. After that loss to Timothy, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was finally the manhood being tested, lose that game at home the way they did. I think it was the most lopsided loss at home in however long. Something clicked there for Coach Jones and his crew, and they've been able to figure it out. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play great. This game's going to be close. I'm with you. I mean, this game is close, but I am taking Bingham in this one. Now to a really interesting one. Riverton and Davis.
All right. Yeah, this is really interesting. Riverton has a first-round shellacking of Kearns. Davis with the first-round bye. Riverton, Dusty, has not won 2 playoff games in a single playoff run since 2014. It's been a while since they've been able to put together multiple wins in the playoffs in a single playoff year. Davis, 4-0 all-time against Riverton, and this group has won 4 straight in the back half of that Region 1 play. Ever since Jackson Stevens, everything kind of got healthy. Everything's starting to gel. Jackson Stevens, look, he wears 38 for a reason. There's a story behind it. Love the story. I'll tell you, he has won that job. He could be wearing number 1. He is the best quarterback in that program. And a 7-10 matchup, I think this one is super, super competitive. I'm going to go with Davis in the end in a one-possession game. I'll take a late play. They've won some close ones late. I'll lean with Stevens in that offense. They got a kicker too, the Darts do, in case they need something from long range. I'll go with Davis in a close battle at home.
That's a great one. And this is a toss-up game. This really is. This is, where you look at where this goes. But Davis in the playoffs at home, it has been tough since the state championship in 2004. Outside of getting to the state championship game, I think it was 2009, it has been Heartbreak City. And the good thing for Davis, I'm not there because I've gone to a bunch of those and called a bunch of those games. I'm going Jody Morgan and the Riverton Silverwolves.
Okay.
This game is going to be really, really close. I think it's going to be fun. Davis wins this thing. It's not going to be like, I'm shocked. No, this is a pick 'em game. If you went Riverton, I go Davis. But I'm going to go the Riverton Silverwolves, Coach Jody Morgan, and those girls, because when they play well, this is a very good team from Riverton.
Team. And it's Springville, their only loss of the year.
Yeah, right. But the weird thing is they went and lost to Dixie. I just can't figure them out. Just trying to get where they – although that was a long bus ride. I mean, we're going to keep a theme of the show and keep it accurate. That is a long
bus ride. Yeah.
Long bus ride. All right, Skyridge Fremont rematch of, I think it was week 1.
Yeah. Early season game. Skyridge was all over them. Look, this Fremont defense, they've been pretty good. And you even look at their first round game against Granger. I think they had 3 pick sixes or 3 picks in that one. It was a defensive lockdown. Christian Blanche, one of the leading tacklers in the state. He also has a number of interceptions this year for the Skyridge defense, or for the Fremont defense. But Skyridge defense is better. It's the number 1 scoring defense in 6A. You talk about Smith Snowden. You talk about that front. There's just not a lot of give in it. I think Skyridge wins this one comfortably.
I do too. Noah McKay-Hill said, well, we don't know. If he were to come back, I don't think this is the game to do it unless it's to knock off some rust, give him some time. Yeah. We don't know. And here's the other part. If we did know, we wouldn't share it. Just throwing it out there. So it's not going to happen. So, all right. So let's go to the next one. So we'll both go Skyridge. Corner Canyon versus West.
Interestingly enough, these two teams played in sevens over the summer, and this was a competitive contest, Dusty. Look, West can play. You mentioned it that, hey, we thought about, you always kind of have the Region 4 teams. Who's that team knocking on the door? We've talked a lot about whether that's the West Panthers or not. At some point, Dusty and I have to be different. We've had a couple of differences, but man, we need something big to come in and really blow this thing up. I think West, Dusty, their starters are right there with some of the top starting lineups in the state. I love, they've got that little kind of motivation from the summer. They know that they believe they're a top dog. To do that, you got to go beat the best. I know Dusty isn't picking corner in this game, so I'm going. I can't. I got corner. I got to go corner in this one. I do.
You set it up. If we had the crowd behind us, it would be all going nuts right now.
I know. I do think this is actually going to be one of the tougher tests for corners that they've seen in the playoffs in a number of years. But I just think the depth of corner, the versatility of that offense is a differentiating factor in this one. West can keep it close, but the penalties and the turnovers, they still haven't quite been able to nip that in the bud quite yet. If they have penalties, they have turnovers, corner's going to win this multiple possessions. I'll take corner, though, here in the quarters.
Yeah, because if West plays their best game, this is a very interesting game because their front's really, really good. I mean, the Browns are all over the place. You got Sarah. I mean, you have so many guys around there. And we have really enjoyed getting to watch the West Panthers all season long here on the Rewind Sports Network and all the games we do. Been a blast. This is not the time I'm picking against Corner Canyon. They figured some things out. They lost that game to Lehigh. That was a major wake-up call because remember they almost coughed up the game to Bingham the week before. They had righted that ship, even though the PG game was a little weird and they gave up a 21-point lead. But they fixed it. It went after us. Hey, not again. This game, if it happened, well, and we got to say if because it hasn't happened. This happens. Yeah. This is a really fun game, and it's a moment where West is going to have the ball, and it's going to, I'm going to say season on the line. That game will be resting on that. All the momentum, whatever is going to happen, can they keep their wits about them and make that play? Because if they do, they're going to have a shot because they have that many athletes. Isaiah Suisui makes you look silly if you're not ready for him. And, that'd be a fun one. All right, so we got AF versus Farmington.
This one really difficult for me, Dusty. You talk about American Fork, and we talk about the defense. It's been great. Offensively, look, they have not been at the scoring pace that they've been in prior years. And when you think of this Farmington group, it's a group that they do have pretty good defense. And look, we know they aren't healthy across the board, but can they make enough plays to keep this game competitive with the Cavemen? Man, this one is so hard for me to pick. It would be played at American Fork if indeed this was the matchup, AF being the higher seed. I'm going to roll with see, it's hard because Farmington, the back half of the region, they just haven't quite. All right, I'm going to do it. I'll roll with the Phoenix in this one. I'll go with Easton White. Got to take care of the football. That AF defense, it is really, really stingy, but I don't know that Farmington's going to let AF really pull this one away from. I think it's a back and forth battle. I think, last 5 minutes comes down to that. I'll go with the experience of Farmington to grit one out on the road. Yeah,
this is tough because you try to spin it forward how it's going to go. You just don't know where it's. There's so many different spots to go. That's usually how I do this. I try to think, all right, I simulate it in my head and see where it's going to happen. I would love it. Boston Reinhardt will there. I probably would lean Phoenix in this opportunity. But here's the other part. You think American Fork, you talk about all the offense. They have won games close this year. They have played low-scoring games and won them. You had the West game 20-13. They beat Rigby, 13-7. They're just not a team that has to have a bunch of points to feel confident. So for that reason, I am in with AF. I'll go AF. Okay. Moving on, it's a tough one. If at full strength, I think this is a totally different feel, and we both might be wearing teal and black because I love those uniforms. But on this one, I will take American Fork. So for you, a rematch of the 2012 state championship game or 2011 state championship game, Syracuse Bingham.
Semifinal, 2012 semifinal. That's right. Yeah, they upset Bingham. I mean, I think everyone had kind of written Bingham in. Yeah. Well, no, it was 21-16 in that semifinal. But then they played Jordan the next week in the state championship, and that one got a little sideways for the Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, I think this Syracuse team, right, this is really the chance for them to say, boom, we're here, right? And a group that we've not seen make deep playoff runs for a while. Boy, if they could get a win over Bingham, that would certainly be one of the better runs we've seen from this group, maybe since that 2012 team. Sure. But I just don't know that they have quite the pieces, the physicality to take on the Miners. Been so impressed with the job that the Miners have done this year. Coach Jones, I'll take Bingham in this matchup at home to advance back to Rice-Eccles.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I've got Bingham versus Lone Peak. And I want to believe in Bingham. I really do. I want to believe in him. I've loved what Coach Jones has done. I love what Freddie's done with that offense. And Lone Peak, most people think that I like one team more than the other. You don't really know, and I'll never share. But my admiration for Lone Peak, that program and everything they do. Give me Lone Peak. I can't do it.
All right.
Bingham was my first football loan. I can't do it. I want to. I really want to. Ditch the red helmets, Lone Peak. If you show up in the red helmets in the playoffs, I mean, we might get divorced. Okay? Put it where the white ones are from years past. We might get divorced if they come out in the red helmets in the state tournament. Can't do it. Can't do it. Mike Singletary. But give me Lone Peak heading back. And part of this is pedigree. Because I think this year's been steps for Bingham getting back to being Bingham. But Lone Peak gets to Rice-Eccles Stadium. It's what they do. That defense is really, really good. Bingham would be the biggest test since that AF game and maybe in the most physical team they're in play since Timview. So we'd have to figure out where they are. But that pains me. I'll go Lone Peak.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sticking Lone Peak. All right. Davis Skyridge for you.
Yeah. I'll go with Skyridge in this one. We talked about their defense. Look, I think it'd be great for Jackson Stevens and company getting a playoff win if they're able to defeat Riverton, but I just don't know they have the horses, the ability to keep up with Skyridge in this one. I'll go with the Falcons.
Yeah, me too. I'm going with Falcons. This is not the time that Coach Lehman's coach's last game at Skyridge. This is not happening in this one. Okay? Yeah, so I got that. All right, semifinals. Corner Canyon versus American Fork. Oh, no, Farmington.
I got Farmington. Yeah. This is not the week I'm picking against Corner Canyon. I'll tell you this. I do think the losses that Corner Canyon has experienced this year has helped to kind of refocus the troops, right? And even some of the games where they've gotten out to big leads and other teams have come back, you hope that leads to some learnings so that when you're in a playoff run, you're able to learn from that experience and not have that bite you again. I think, again, if Farmington was healthy, that ground game, this is probably a more competitive game. I just think that maybe a little too one-dimensional against Corner Canyon. I'll roll with the Chargers in this one, getting back to a state championship. It's what they do, Dusty.
It is. It absolutely is. So I got Corner Canyon AF in a Region 4 rematch. Well, I guess I did it again. I went all Region 4. Well, I guess I'm a honk for a reason. But I didn't even realize I did that. But Corner Canyon, American Fork, it just comes out of me. What can I do? This is not the moment I'm picking against Corner Canyon. Corner Canyon, AF, it just has not gone the way AF's wanted it to go. Sooner or later, it will happen, right? Sooner or later, law of averages say sooner or later, once you will get them. I don't think this is the once. It really isn't. It is not the once. And so I got Corner Canyon back in the state championship game, be 5 years in a row for Eric Hare and the Chargers. All right, Skyridge, Bingham.
This would be really interesting, Dusty. Look, we've kind of talked about it. We know the McKay Hillstead injury. I've heard he might be able to come back at some point in the playoffs. Have no idea when that's going to be. Part of the challenge is Trent Call. I mean, I saw him late in the year, looked much improved from where he was when he came in when Hillstead went down. Feels like they've kind of started to find their rhythm. Is Hillstead back for this game? I have no idea. Do you bring him back if he is, healthy-ish? I don't know. That's a decision I would not want to have to make because things are gelling for Skyridge. I do think Bingham's offense is going to be a really good test for this Falcon D, but Smith Snowden takes away half the field just before the snap even begins. You talk about a front seven that's as physical as they come. I think Bingham, as great of a year as it's been, they get back to Rice Eccles, but Skyridge, I think the better team, comes away with a win here. And it would be interesting to see, again, does he have the ability to come back? Is this maybe the first time where we see him? Do we start to see him kind of get worked in? I have no idea what the status of that is, but that could be a big storyline that could affect this game as well as potential futures for Skyridge. Because I think this is really probably that first point where you're saying, all right, is it healthy enough, right, where we want to bring him back in if that's indeed kind of the decision point. Have no idea if that'll be a factor here, but I'll take Skyridge to defeat Bingham regardless.
I'll say this. If he wants to go, he goes. It was the same thing Eric Hare had to do with, remember, Cole Hagan was lighting up the state. Yep. Smoked Alton. That was really good. And it was like, if Zach's ready to go, we're going to go. We're going to go with it. And
the tough thing is that was – before last year, that was a last playoff loss for Corner. And I'm not second-guessing that decision, right? But when I've thought about this Hillstead thing, I'm like, it's eerily similar to that same situation. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, what do you do, right? Do you disrupt the chemistry in favor of your start? Like, it's a decision I would not envy on any coach. Yeah. And we'll see how Skyridge plays it should they be in that position.
Yeah, just like Zach, he's a 3-year starter, too.
Right.
All right, so I got Skyridge Lone Peak. And what was the craziest fourth quarter this side of anything we've had? 30, remember, just reset the scene. 30-10, Lone Peak is going to put away Skyridge, and they looked great. And then Smith Snowden shows up, kickoff return for a touchdown, got an interception. Walker has 2 scores in the fourth quarter, 31-30, and every Lone Peak fan screaming at their phone right now, but we scored the game-winning touchdown. And I agree with you. It got called back. Cole Christensen on a slant got called for offensive pass interference on a pick play. Didn't happen. So now you get the rematch. I got Skyridge. That team, you got your shot. You have your shot to get them. And like I said, Coach Lehman and this team, they can get it. And to rematch a last year semifinal as well, I think it's close. I think it's fun. I love Lone Peak football, and I love it. Either way, I think we got an interesting one. But I'll take Skyridge. And this is a year they've been on a mission. Yeah, I'll go Skyridge. Getting a state championship game. All right, for you, Corner Canyon. Oh, wait, we're both Corner Canyon and Skyridge.
Yeah, different routes, but the same result, or same endpoint, I should say. Look, I think you talk about productive losses, and I'll tell you, Skyridge just kind of had a feel. I've been around that program a little bit since that loss. I don't think that they're going to come into this game with a real good attitude should they get there, right? Especially if Corner Canyon's on that other sideline. Had the opportunity, you talk about a team on a mission, so many players returning this year, you talk about Hillstead, a 3-year starter. This was the year. We talked about it. If not now, when for Skyridge, right? Because it feels like from the get-go of this 22 season, it was the year for the Falcons to do it. What would be a rematch of a 2018 state championship. Corner took care of business then. We'll talk about Isaac Wilson. Saw Isaac early in the year. Now, granted, against one of the top defenses in the country. Yeah. But you talk about his progression and growth and development as he's getting more and more involved in this offense. First full season as a full-time starter. Saw time in previous years, but this has really been the first year. It's been like, all right, Isaac, here's the keys to the car. And, I think opportunities for him to learn and grow, but he still had a spectacular year. When you got the receiving core he has, and the scheme that they run, you're always going to be in pretty much every ball game, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 every 3 or 4 years, right? As we learned last year. I am going to roll with Skyridge. I think this defense is hungry. I think they feel like they let one get away against Corner early on in the year. You talk about all the buildup for the Falcons. I got Skyridge as my 2022 state champion. That defense making a difference at Rice-Eccles, and Falcons bringing home the trophy.
So you're going with Lehman walking off in the sunset. He's getting into administration.
Retire on top, man. Yep.
Yeah. Go out, the only coach this program's ever known, and ushering the Ham era, having to defend a championship. Good luck, Coach Ham. Nah, John. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Corner Canyon for me, as you know my history. Everyone knows it. But here's the other part. Since Skyridge beat Corner Canyon in the semifinals, they have not beaten Corner Canyon since. And they've had their shots more than anyone this side of Lone Peak. And I think they might have played them closer at times than Lone Peak. And Lone Peak just had the more memorable heartbreaks, right? They're breaking it again. I'm sorry. I would love to go. And the law of averages say that sooner or later you're going to get them. This is not the year I'm picking against Corner Canyon. I didn't pick against them last year either. But I'm not picking against them now. And so Corner Canyon winning 4 of 5 is my pick. Dane's got Skyridge winning their very first one. What are your picks? Pick against us? If you got us, we'll talk about it maybe. We've got great coverage coming up. We got games all over the place this week. Dane's got his game of the week. He and Moose. You're going to want to tune in that one. We got a bunch of them. Any stream that's available, come hang out on the Red Zone. Me and Jeff Hansen will be hanging out in the studios. And we've got some surprises coming for you come semifinal time. We've been working on some projects. And, and heaven willing.
Years in the making, Dusty.
Yeah, years in the making. It's going to be a blast. And it'll be something I think all of you will enjoy. Absolutely. But Dane, final thoughts as we look at the 6A tournament.
Look, I'll say this, and you can compare the two brackets, and I'm sure a lot of you have been talking through your monitors, your screens, and we've been going through it. I think this 6A bracket is really one of the more even brackets we've had in quite a while. Feels like in previous years, and even though Lone Peak won the state championship last year, I don't know how many people really thought that they would do it again in a state championship game. I think it's kind of been Corner's world, and I feel like this year you really do have a couple teams that can throw their hat into the ring. I can't wait to see how it plays out. I think it's going to be fun. Great games the rest of the way in every round, and can't wait to bring them to you right here on KSLSports.com.
Absolutely. Then make sure when you come back, you watch our 5A video, while 4A, 3A, and 2A, 1A, we'll get the championship games and our picks for there as well. But for Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching KSL Sports Rewind's 6A Bracketology on KSLSports.com.